Most retirees don't blow up their retirement with one ridiculous purchase. It does happen, but not too often. They drift into trouble $300 at a time. A little more travel, a few more dinners out, a higher insurance bill, helping the kids again, replacing something around the house, upgrading the car because the old one's becoming unreliable. None of it feels irresponsible in the moment, and that's exactly why it can become a problem. Because retirement spending creep rarely feels like overspending while it's happening. It feels like normal life, and that's the danger. I think many retirees imagine overspending as something dramatic. A luxury car, a second home, extravagant trips, or some obvious lifestyle explosion. But in real retirement planning, the more common issue is much quieter. Spending slowly becomes normal at a higher level than the plan originally assumed. And by the time you notice, the portfolio may still be fine, but confidence is lower, withdrawals are larger, and the plan feels lighter than it used to. Let's use a simple example. Imagine a retired couple starts retirement spending at $7,000 per month from all their sources. That includes housing costs, food, insurance, healthcare, travel, gifts, taxes, just everything. That's $84,000 per year. Now, let's say their spending rises by 3% per year. Not from wild lifestyle decisions, just a combination of inflation and small lifestyle drift. After 10 years, that same spending level becomes about $9,400 per month. That's more than $112,000 per year. So the household did not feel like they made one huge decision, but their lifestyle now costs nearly $30,000 more per year than it did at the start. That's the part retirees often underestimate, and it can happen to anyone, no matter your retirement income level. Small annual increases become large permanent commitments. And if the portfolio was built around the original spending number, that drift can quietly change the entire retirement picture. Now, I want to make something very clear. This is not a video about shaming retirees for spending money. Actually, I think many retirees have the opposite problem. I see that working with people every day. They're often afraid to spend, even when they can, and I have to encourage them to do it. But there's a difference between intentional spending and invisible spending. Intentional spending usually creates satisfaction. Invisible spending, that creates anxiety. And a lot of retirees lose confidence not because they spend too much on purpose, but because they no longer have a clear sense of where the money's going. That uncertainty creates stress. They look at the account balance and think, why does this feel tighter than it should? And often the answer is not one category. It's 5 or 6 categories, maybe 6 or 7, that quietly grow at the same time. The first category is insurance. Home insurance, auto insurance, umbrella coverage, Medicare premiums, Medigap, prescription coverage, long-term care insurance. Insurance is frustrating because retirees usually don't feel like they are buying more life. They're paying more just to protect the life they already had. And that feels different emotionally than choosing to travel or remodel a kitchen. And insurance costs are often sticky. Once they rise, retirees don't assume that they'll ever fall back down because they rarely do. And that permanence makes the increases feel even heavier. A retired couple might say, our home insurance went up $1,200 this year. Auto insurance went up $600. Medicare supplement premiums increased, and property taxes went up too. None of those individual increases can destroy a plan, but together they may absorb the money that was supposed to fund travel or hobbies or flexibility. And when fixed costs crowd out discretionary spending, retirees start feeling financially restricted. The second category is home ownership. A paid-off home can be a wonderful retirement asset, but it's not a free place to live. Your roof still gets old, furnaces still break, the driveway still cracks, windows still need replacing, landscaping still costs money, property taxes still show up. Many retirees mentally treat the mortgage payoff as the end of housing stress. But the house becomes a different kind of expense. Instead of one monthly mortgage payment, the retiree faces irregular, unpredictable expenses that can feel emotionally worse. A $15,000 roof replacement doesn't mean the retirement plan failed, but it can feel like a failure if the retiree didn't mentally reserve money for it. This is why I think retirees should separate normal spending from irregular spending. The monthly budget might look fine, But if you don't account for irregular expenses, that absolutely will happen. The plan can feel consistently interrupted. One thing I've learned from my clients that often invest in real estate, when they rent it out, one of the budget line items is maintenance. And the thought is to reserve 1% of the home's value in maintenance costs per year. I think that's a great strategy to be thinking about as you move into retirement. You might say, hey Colin, but that's way too much money. Well, here's how it works. Most years, yes, the maintenance will be less, but every so often you'll have things that you'll need to replace, those larger, bigger ticket items. So if you're budgeting in this amount for home maintenance and you've got it set aside or you've already thought about it, it'll make it a lot easier when that replacement comes along. All right, a car replacement is not an emergency if you knew the car would eventually need replacing. A roof is not a surprise if the roof is 25 years old. A major dental bill is not shocking if you've been retired long enough to know healthcare doesn't move in a straight line. The problem is that many retirees budget monthly, but retirement happens annually and irregularly. That mismatch is what causes stress. Now, the third category is family support. This is one of the most emotionally complicated areas. Many retirees are helping out adult children or grandchildren more than they expected. And sometimes it's college help, sometimes it's a down payment on a new home, sometimes it's a medical bill, sometimes it's monthly support. And sometimes it's just always picking up the check, paying for the family vacation, or making life easier for the next generation. And generosity can be beautiful. But in retirement, generosity needs boundaries because occasional generosity can quietly become expected generosity. A retiree might think, we're just helping this one time. But that one time becomes a pattern. And the emotional difficulty is that retirees often don't want to say no. They love their family. They want to help. They might feel guilty that they have resources while their children are dealing with housing costs, childcare costs, student loans. But if family support is ongoing, it's not a gift in the retirement plan. It's a spending category and needs to be treated honestly, not judgmentally, honestly. Because hidden generosity can become one of the biggest reasons retirees spend more than they think. The fourth category is travel and lifestyle normalization. The first retirement trip feels special. The second one feels earned. By the third or fourth year, the upgraded hotel, the extra trip, the business class seat, or longer stay can start feeling normal. Again, there's nothing wrong with travel. For many retirees, travel is one of the best uses of money. But lifestyle normalization, it's really sneaky. Humans adapt very quickly. What once felt like a luxury, now that becomes the new baseline. And once a higher level of spending becomes normal, reducing it later can feel like deprivation, even if the original lifestyle was perfectly enjoyable. This is why retirees need to be careful about turning temporary celebration spending into permanent lifestyle spending. The first few years of retirement are often expensive, and that can be okay. People travel more, they celebrate, they finally do all the things they delayed. But if those go-go year spending levels become the assumed spending level forever, the plan might become distorted. A healthy retirement spending plan should recognize phases. Early retirement may be more active and expensive, and I've seen it in my own practice. Middle retirement, things might stabilize as you do things more around the house that cost less. Later retirement might reduce travel but increases healthcare and support costs. If you treat all years the same, you may misunderstand the plan. The fifth category is convenience spending. This is easy to dismiss because the numbers seem small. Delivery fees, subscriptions, streaming services, apps, prepared meals, house cleaning, lawn care, small Amazon purchases, or large Amazon purchases. None of these feel like retirement-changing expenses, but convenience spending grows because it removes friction. And when something removes friction, people rarely want to give it up. This is not necessarily bad. In later retirement, paying for convenience can be a smart use of money. It can preserve energy, safety, and quality of life. But again, the issue is awareness. If you're intentionally spending on convenience because it improves your life, that's one thing. If convenience spending quietly expands without you even noticing, that's different. Now here is where this becomes especially important. Spending drift interacts with market risk. If your spending rises during a strong market, you may not feel the danger. The portfolio's up, the withdrawals feel manageable, and everything seems fine. But if spending has drifted higher and then the market declines, the stress shows up really quick. Now you need larger withdrawals from a lower portfolio, and this is when retirees suddenly feel like the plan changed overnight. But usually it did not change overnight. The vulnerability was building quietly before the market decline exposed it. It's kind of like when Warren Buffett said, "We all find out who's swimming naked when the tide goes out." Well, this is why I think retirees need a spending review that's not obsessive, but it's honest. Not every week, not every coffee purchase, no guilt and spreadsheets forever. But at least once or twice a year, step back and ask, what do we actually spend over the last 12 months? Which categories rose the most? Which increases were just inflation and which were lifestyle? Which were one-time events and which are now permanent? Are we spending more because life's more expensive or because our expectations changed? That little simple review can restore confidence because uncertainty is often more stressful than the spending itself. A retiree who knows they spend $50,000 per year and has a plan around it may feel much calmer than a retiree who thinks they spend $40,000 but is actually spending $60,000. That clarity matters. And sometimes the solution is not cutting dramatically. Sometimes it's simply renaming the spending. For example, instead of pretending that the house will not need work, create a home maintenance bucket. Instead of being surprised by car replacements, create a vehicle bucket. Instead of feeling guilty about helping family, define an annual family support amount. Instead of vaguely worrying about travel, decide what travel is worth to you this year. When spending has a name, it becomes less emotionally chaotic. And this is the deeper point. Retirement spending is not just a math problem, it's a control problem. Retirees feel better when spending feels intentional, often feeling worse when spending feels like it's just happening to them. That is why invisible spending is so damaging. It makes people feel like they're losing control even if the plan is still financially workable. So what should you do? Well, first, track the big categories, not every tiny purchase. Housing, healthcare, insurance, taxes, food, transportation, travel, family support, and home maintenance. Those categories usually tell the entire story. Second, separate recurring spending from one-time spending. A $20,000 home repair is very different from increasing monthly lifestyle by $1,700 a month. They may look similar over 1 year, but they affect the long-term plan differently. Third, identify spending that brings real value. Some expenses are worth it. Travel while you're healthy may be worth it. Help for your family, that might be worth it. Convenience might be worth it. The goal is not to eliminate joy in retirement. The goal is to eliminate unconscious drift. And fourth, create guardrails instead of strict rules. A retiree who says, we can spend up to this amount in travel each year often feels freer than someone who never defines the number and feels guilty every time they book a trip. Guardrails create permission, and permission matters because the goal of retirement is not to spend the least amount possible. The goal is to spend in alignment with your values without putting future security at risk. That's the balance. Many retirees are not quietly spending more because they're careless. They're spending more because life is expensive. Family needs are real. Convenience, it's appealing, and retirement finally gives you the time to enjoy things. That's human. But if spending is not visible, it becomes really hard to manage. And when it becomes hard to manage, confidence fails. So the real lesson is not stop spending. The real lesson is make your spending visible, because visible spending can be planned. Planned spending can be adjusted, and adjusted spending creates confidence. And that confidence may be one of the most valuable assets a retiree can have. If this issue matters to you, the next layer is taxes. Because even when retirees control spending well, many are surprised later when required distributions, Social Security taxation, Medicare premiums, and widowhood make retirement taxes much more complicated than expected. So watch this next.